We're going to be breaking down these three bouts. Very excited for all three of them, really.
No.
The timing is, I think they're not going to start until after midnight, which is very frustrating. But again, I'm a sucker. I'm going to lap it up even if I don't get to sleep till 3 a.m. Shall
Seriously?
we get on to the first
Let's
fight we're
do it.
covering here?
Okay. Yeah,
Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins.
like,
Yeah,
look,
I made some edits here. If you can
like,
tell, I did
look,
some.
They're great.
one, like, look, we got two geezers here who are fighting it out. They're the 39 and 40, correct? Am I correct in that? Yes,
Yes.
I am. Okay. On one side, though, the guy who's slightly younger, who beats out Mr. Felipe in every margin, including, height, age, his reach is 4 inches better, and he's considered the hardest puncher in MMA
Hard.
history with his orthodox stance. This guy is going to, oh, wait, and also, am I correct in that? Yes, he is a boxer by trade. Felipe Lins has not fought, or I guess they both haven't fought since 2024, and he's been off his UFC contract for what now? 3 years, 2 years, right?
Who, Felipe or
Francis?
Francis?
Felipe. Wait, did Francis ever even,
Yeah,
what was Francis's
yeah.
UFC contract? Because his last three
So
fights, two were boxing, one was PFL.
yeah, so he was actually the UFC heavyweight champion, and he beat Stipe Miocic in March 2021 to get that belt. Then in
Okay.
January 2022, he defended it against Cyril Gane, and that was the last fight on his contract. And him and Dana had a pretty famous, like, annoying disagreement where Dana like refused to sign him. And then Francis Ngannou went off to PFL
Huh.
because PFL would allow him to do those boxing matches. I mean, he knocked down Tyson Fury, which maybe that
That's
hasn't
impressive.
aged as well since Tyson Fury's lost those two fights to Usyk. But yeah, he got his money. I'm sure what he made in that Tyson Fury fight and then the Anthony Joshua fight were more than his entire UFC purses combined.
Right.
And then that the fight against Renan Ferreira was the PFL fight.
So his last UFC fight was against the dude who's going to be at the White House, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to look forward to that. But yeah, I mean, he's got an impressive resume with the best boxers on the planet, and Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. I mean, two losses of his last three were to those guys, but he is coming off that Ferreira win with the PFL. That was 2 years ago, around the clock.
And that was a very impressive win.
Yes.
He got him down and just beat the crap out of it. It was a late stoppage. That ref wanted to see Ferreira die,
Yes,
unfortunately.
at
Yeah.
350 in round one, I believe. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, I mean, I'm not gonna overthink this. I mean, and DraftKings is telling me not to overthink this. I'm gonna take Mr. Francis Ngannou, and I'm gonna take him the knockout. Final answer.
Yeah. I would be shocked if Ngannou doesn't get the knockout. I mean, the guy, I will never forget when the UFC, I mean, the UFC peaked several times, I think. And I know you can't really say that about many sports, but I think Conor McGregor was clearly like one of the first pioneers of putting the sport
Yep.
on the map within the last decade. I mean, there's obviously others, Brock Lesnar, George St. Pierre. We don't
Ronda
need to get into
Rousey.
that too much. Ronda
Ronda
Rousey, of
Rousey's
course.
definitely up there.
Yeah. But another situation that comes to mind is back in 2020 during COVID when there were literally no other sports to watch. And I remember watching, I think it was, I mean, it's been so long, UFC 249. And at that point, Francis Ngannou was riding like a 5 or 6 fight knockout streak where like he was literally sending his opponents to the shadow realm. And he fought this guy, and Kevin, you may know, his name is Jairzinho
Oh,
Rosenstrike. That
yeah.
guy was undefeated, Tyler. So he was undefeated kickboxer. I think all of his wins were also by KO, and they're like, "Oh man, like this is going to be a tough fight for Ngannou." He came out in the first 20 seconds and just was swinging wildly, and the second he touched Jairzinho Rosenstrike's chin, he put him out cold. Like Ngannou doesn't have to hit someone hard. As long as he touches them, he's got like the touch of death. So unless this guy is able to get him to the ground and submit him, I think Ngannou is going to put him out cold. And we've seen strides in Ngannou's wrestling as well, right, Kevin? I mean, he's a
Oh,
very well-rounded athlete and he's extremely strong. I think Tyler, you've got it like spot on. He's definitely going to get the KO.
yeah. And
And
I
Kev,
think in his fight coming back to MMA in October 2024, some people were wondering if his wrestling chops were still going to be there. He showed that they were, but yeah, against Stipe Miocic, he stuffed the takedown, which was huge because in their first fight, Stipe just was able to ragdoll him around for just control him. But so he stuffed the tape down on Stipe, then knocked him out. And that was, people were like, oh, okay. Then in the Cyril Gahn fight, he had a bad knee, so he was not relying on striking. He ended up, I remember he slammed Cyril Gahn to, I think it might have been in round 2, and that everyone was like, oh, you're a wrestler now. Okay. And it was impressive. Look, if Felipe Lins is going to get it done, it's going to be lighter man skill is going to be what gets it done for him. Those last 4 fights that he's won in the UFC were all at light heavyweight, I believe. So 205. So this is, I think it's pretty obvious why this fight or this matchup got made for this card. A spectacular knockout for Francis to get the hype all going for the next 2 fights. I do have some lines on it. In the last 2 days, Ngannou went from a minus 1,000 favorite to a minus 1,350 favorite. So it's pretty tough to if you want to bet on him and think you're going to get money. But Francis Ngannou by round 1 KO is minus 135. By round 2 KO plus 380. Round 3 KO plus 1,400.
So
nobody thinks
he's going to make it to the end.
Putting $2-3 on round 2 or round 3. Maybe put 5 on round 1, and you might end up coming out at least even.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Is this one that we're all actually in agreement on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I was going to say too, Kevin, when it comes to betting, I know you like to play around with things. So what are your thoughts on if someone were to do a parlay and it's like a round 2 KO? Like, let's say you're the type of guy who in the past will do like a 5-leg parlay and put down like 60 cents.
Yes.
Would you endorse someone to do that?
I would always.
New assignment after that question is Kev has to come up with like the most absurd 12-legger he can for Netflix Fight Night, and we're going to post it. Ride or die.
So yeah, I think I'm officially doing Francis' 2nd round KO is what my official prediction is. But all of us got him finishing it. This is a 5-round fight, by the way.
Live tidbit.
Oh wow, really? I didn't know that.
What you got, Ty?
Francis was one of 3 people out of the 6 we're talking about who has been in the Fast and Furious movies.
He was in the Fast and Furious movies?
Apparently, he was in Fast 9. Yes.
All right.
I haven't watched anything past, I think, 5.
All right. Let's go on to our next slide here. We got Nate Diaz.
No.
And then we have Platinum Mike Perry. This fight is going to be very exciting. We'll keep on going through. All right, let's get to that. All right, goodbye, the Nigerian Nightmare, the king of BKFC himself, Mike Perry, is taking on Nathan Diaz. This one, I think obviously the odds are the closest on this one, but the matchup is very exciting. You still with us, Ty? Yeah, the matchup's very exciting.
I dropped the glasses for the bet.
If we had Nate Diaz 4 years ago, this would be one of the best matchups.
Interview. Okay, you want to think about like advanced onset CTE. My God, the man talking, it is just the worst. Than like he should not be allowed to fight in this at 41 years old. This does not.
To be fair, he's always kind of sounded like that. He's from Stockton, bro. He's from Stockton.
Okay,
Nick Diaz Army.
You can still formulate a sentence and actually respond to whatever. But no, okay, look, Nate Diaz, we got a man who has got the same fighting style as Mr. Strickland. He's just going to push forward, actually force you into the back, kind of try to get you upside and just overwhelm you. Mr. Mike Perry, a little bit of a different story. And let's be honest, when we say that he's got that pressure, wait, what am I looking at? Here we go. He's a pressure striker and he's a power puncher too. I'm making my pick for this one purely based on the fact that one of these guys has been on the bench for a little bit longer. And, age, man. I'm sorry. 41. You are old to be fighting. And I think Mike Perry's just got a better resume so far. Because, look, Nate Diaz lost to Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I'm sorry.
So did
they both
Mike
did.
Perry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mike Perry did take that fight.
This night is going to suck because, okay, whatever. The Paul brothers own both of these gentlemen. Mike Perry's going to get it done.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Mike Perry, he actually, so if you remember the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, it was supposed to be held in the summer. And, but Mike Tyson had ulcers, I believe, and had to pull out because he was hospitalized like a few weeks before. And Mike Perry was a late late replacement for that one. He did get TKO'd, but I not to bury the lead for myself, but I'm also going with Mike Perry. I think if you take that Jake Paul fight out, he's only seen success in the bare knuckle arena. So if Nate Diaz is going to have luck, he's going to have to use that reach. He's going to have to use his toughness, eat some shots to give some shots. And then I don't know. Nate Diaz is not. He's a BJJ black belt. He's got a handful of submissions on his resume, but he's not the one to take you down. And I don't think Mike Perry's going to engage in wrestling. That's part of the reason why I got out of the UFC. It'd be if maybe Nate Diaz pulls out a veteran bag of tricks and maybe a little tie clinch trip or something like that, gets him down. Then I really could see this going Nate's way. I mean, he put Jake Paul in a guillotine choke in their boxing
In a boxing match, yeah.
But yeah, I also think if hunger, who wants it more? Nate Diaz, he had his fights with McGregor. He had the Jake Paul fight. Just had the Jorge Masvidal boxing match. So he's set with some generational wealth. Mike Perry hasn't done too bad. He also got that Jake Paul bag, but he's still 34. He's really became the face of BKFC, and I think he just wants it more. He's got that drive, and he's not getting knocked out by Nate. I would be very surprised.
That is another point I actually wanted to talk on. Did you guys know that Nate Diaz's first fight ever was a bare knuckle fight when he was 17?
No,
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
But that was it.
That would explain a lot.
No, that was the only bare knuckle fight the man's ever done. Meanwhile, Mr. Mike Perry,
wow.
like we've talked about, is a bare knuckle expert, and I think it's going to be going more in depth to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. I think Diaz, being a submission artist who does have some power behind his arms, is going to try to get Perry on the ground. Coming after him, like I said, with that Sean Strickland style. Mike Perry, block. All right.
Do you think he'll catch him coming in?
Yes, and then I also, in an interview I was watching with Mike Perry, saw that he started it off by making the claim that because he was one of the only white people in his neighborhood growing up, that he experienced a lot of discrimination and bullying. And I just thought that was wild to hear that was the first thing out of the man's mouth. Before we get to the next fight, Kevin, since I know that you picked the same as me and Kern on this one, and you picked the same as us on the last one, I am so ready to grill the loving crap out of you for this next fight.
I mean, Tyler just used some very impressive reasoning skills there. So
I can think sometimes.
All right.
Well, okay.
All right. Come on.
Wait, what you got?
All good. Okay. No, I was just gonna say, Tyler made some really good observations. Nate Diaz, every time he opens his mouth, I just can't help but laugh. The guy I don't know what goes on in that man's brain, if anything at all. He is hilarious without trying to be.
He's
And
the man.
you could say that. Yeah, I guess. The thing is, both these guys, I just love this fight because they're both so odd, and neither of them have the best fight IQ. Like, let's be honest. Like Mike Perry, like the guy's got bombs in his hands. Like, and I will say he's a very exciting fighter to watch because he only goes forward. Like the guy does not care about getting punched in the face. Neither does Nate. That guy eats punches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like there has not been a single Nate Diaz fight I've watched where he's not basically a human punching bag and bleeding. And I know we've already made our picks. We're all on the same page. I don't know if Mike Perry can knock Nate out cold, but I do think he can hurt him bad enough to where, because Nate has a lot of scar tissue on his head. I do think that like a cut could open up and they'll stop the fight. But either way, I just want to see a really entertaining fight. Like out of all the ones on this card, obviously the main event's going to be great. Well, we hope that it'll be great, but I think this one is going to deliver for sure.
Yeah, this
There's
one
a
has
chance
that
you deliver.
Cub
I'm
Swanson,
very
Nate
curious to
Landwehr
see.
energy.
Yeah.
What you got, Ty?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, main event: Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. Where Ronda Rousey find the Derek Lewis quote. All right. Very interesting matchup. This one was we were talking about, kind of the slight to the UFC, but I do think that this fight was going to be made in the UFC. I think it was in around November of last year. Dana White was on a podcast saying they're working out a fight that is going to surprise everyone. It's like nothing that they would expect. It's going to be huge. But Then once the Paramount deal came into play, they couldn't give Ronda Rousey the pay-per-view points or something, and she started shopping around for other promotions. That's where Jake Paul scooped up the fight. But yeah, interesting that this one was, I think, going to get made in the UFC. These are two. Gina Carano is kind of credited as one of the pioneers of women's
Big
MMA.
time. Big time.
You can see just from the I really shouldn't have said recent fights. These were the most recent fights for her, but she was 7-0 going into her fight against Chris Cyborg, who's another all-time women's MMA athlete, and she lost that one. Then she retired, got into acting. During COVID, she got canceled for saying something about the masks and whatnot. She was on The Mandalorian, got kicked off. Then I believe she joined the Daily Wire for some, she was capitalizing on that cancel culture grifting. But to bring it full
What
circle,
are we doing here? What are
to
we
bring it full circle, we have this matchup is interesting because Tyler, why don't you go and then I
Okay,
will
yes.
wait
Can I
till you
talk?
guys have
You're
made your.
monologuing and you're just trying to get under my skin. But
I'm
not.
really not.
So, okay, look, Kev, I want to stop you though. You said Gina Carano was a pioneer for women's combat sports, correct? I
Yeah.
want to point you to a woman named Anne Maria DeMars, who was the first American to ever win a gold medal at the World Judo Championships. Do you know who her daughter is?
Ronda Rousey.
Yes, sir. There's some pedigree in both of these. Gina Carano's dad was also actually a Dallas Cowboys QB for 7 seasons back in the 80s. I believe that's when it was. Maybe I'm off by a
Oh,
little
wow.
bit, maybe 70s, 80s. But yes, so we got 2 women who are coming from great sports backgrounds, a lot of fighting backgrounds. I mean, Rhonda was doing her thing with the judo competitions back when she was like even 17 or maybe it was 19. I don't know. But she was at the Olympics from a very young age. So she's been in the game for a while. I want to balance out what Kev is putting out with those previous slides. These are 2 beautiful women. Yes, that is a fact. They can also eat me for breakfast. That is also a fact. And I am here to only talk about the
Yeah,
fact
you'd
that
like
they are.
that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I was to
Come
say,
on, man. Use a different
And some
words.
other things about these 2 fighters, if we're going to keep talking, I like the Muay Thai style that Gina was trained in, okay? And I think that if this fight happened in 2019, I wouldn't be so clear as day who I'm going to pick. Ronda Rousey has at least fought in the last decade. And that's what the moniker is that we're going to go off of. Okay. That's all I'm saying with this. I mean, Gina, she was great in her time. She's 44 now. This is for a spectacle. I think that they're going to want this fight to go the whole way. I'm sure that the Paul brothers are whispering in their ear to make that happen. There's probably some weird, behind the scenes crap going on. It's the Paul brothers, but Ronda's taking this. I think it's gonna. I think I said this to you, Kev. I think I said decision. I'm sticking with that. And may these 2 women who were the bad guys in Fast and Furious 6 and Fast and Furious 7 have a great fight. All right.
that's awesome. I love it.
Rousey via submission is what you said to me, Tyler.
All right. Whatever. That's it.
I was also going to go Rousey via submission. The more Tyler talks about it and kind of the nature of these cards that are either endorsed or have any sort of degree with the Paul brothers, it tends to be a decision and a controversial one at that. So I could see this one going the full distance just because I'm sure they probably want to make as much money as possible. And I feel like the longer this fight goes, the more eyes that will join. And
Yep.
I don't know.
I-
I can see where Tyler's coming from.
I have to respectfully disagree with that. I think similarly to how they're setting up Francis Ngannou to get a iconic Francis Ngannou knockout, I think the best thing that would happen is if Ronda Rousey gets an early armbar, to remind everyone of her glory days. That back when she was on her tear in the UFC, I mean, she was getting submissions within the first minute. She was knocking girls out because they were so afraid of her submission game. Yeah, I really think what MVP's hoping for is maybe like a late first round armbar victory for Ronda. She's still got it. Makes the clips around social media comparing it to some of her famous wins. That's what I think MVP's hoping for. Now, it ain't gonna happen though, because I see a lot of similarities in this matchup
This is so fucking.
as I do last weekend's main event, where we have a prolific grappler, prolific submission artist against striker, decent takedown defense. Let's keep in mind she hasn't fought since 2009, so she hasn't taken any damage since 2009. That's huge. I mean, you were just faulting Nate Diaz for getting punched too much. Gina Carano hasn't been hit since 2009.
I've
right?
never gotten shot. I could easily go over to the Strait of Hormuz and just dodge everything.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you understand what I'm saying. So additionally, Ronda's chin got cracked first by Holly Holm, and then Amanda Nunes was able to pretty easily knock her out. She hasn't had a fight since. We don't know if her chin's back. Maybe she gets too aggressive going in there. You know, kind of has a little main character syndrome and doesn't see the check hook coming from Gina Carano. Second round TKO. It will be one of those fights. If it's not a second round TKO, I think, and Gina Carano does win, it'll be very similar to last week's main event where like she stops the takedown. Whoa, okay, interesting. Ronda's getting frustrated. Oh, she's getting kind of pieced up. Could go very similar to the Holly Holm Ronda Rousey fight. Yeah, that's my bold prediction. I had Ronda for up until I saw y'all's picks. I was just like, I gotta, we gotta shake things
like
up.
both
a
of us
little
knew that's what you did.
Yeah. I will say though, like Ronda, you mentioned that Gina Carano hasn't been in a fight, I guess, in almost 20 years. Well, Ronda hasn't been in a fight in a decade. So her chin might have recovered. She hasn't taken any damage in 10 years as well. So I think there's a lot of unknowns. I think you both have made really good points with both styles and both athletes. I mean, really, it's going to come down to whether Ronda's able to impose her will on Gina or not, because I love Ronda's judo trips and throws. Like, she really is fantastic, and she is able to grab that arm very quickly. So it could be, it could be a trademark Ronda Rousey submission, but it could also be a war. Or to your point, Gina could crack her. They're both out of their primes, though, or one would think that they are. So it's interesting. Like, no one really knows how this fight's going to go, and I think that's kind of where the excitement comes in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have to stop you, Curran. Nowadays lingo, I learned this the other day. When you say you will crack somebody, does not mean what I think you are using it for, just so you know.
Oh, well, I meant crack with the left hook, not the
There
other
you go.
crack.
We needed to clarify. Very good.
Respectfully,
Alright,
yeah,
yeah.
respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah, he
respectfully.
just ate you up, dude.
Respectfully.
Yeah, I am excited for this one though, and I do think that if this does go into like rounds 4 and 5, I think the age is going to show, and so that's another reason why I don't think MVP necessarily wants it to go to decision. Netflix either, for that matter. It's going to be late at night too when this one kicks off. I did have a point. I was hoping I'd remember it in the middle of that sentence so I could say it now, but I seem to have forgotten it. I'm excited for this one now. I'm excited for the whole card.
Okay. It's going to be a great matchups. Great matchups. This is going to be a great night.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So as we can see from this summary of the picks, there's only one underdog pick. Yeah, I guess if you guys had to, gun to your head, you had to pick one of these three for an upset, which I'll go Curran first. Which underdog would you give the edge to if you had to?
Man, I think
Which underdog
honestly,
would you edge to if you had to?
which one would I
Respectfully.
edge to? Honestly, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think I'd go with Nate Diaz, and I think it's because he can tie someone up and he can get a guillotine choke. Or Mike Perry could like gas himself out trying to knock Nate out. I mean, again, I said it earlier, I don't think either of these two, as exciting as they are, really have the best fight IQ or are the
Yeah.
two most intelligent fighters. So you never know. I could see Mike Perry just like he could run into a punch and then get hurt, and Nate could get like a Darce choke or something like that. I think for an upset, I'd go with Nate. But if there was gun to my head on the flip side, if there's one that I'm like, it's probably, or it's 100% going to happen. We can't say 100%, but like most likely going to happen. I got to go with the Francis Ngannou KO. I mean, I just like the guy touches people and they just die. So like, he really doesn't have to hit anyone hard to turn the lights out.
To answer your question, Kevin, I'm gonna go with Diaz too for pretty much everything that Curran just said, because that's a fight between just two psychos. You know what I mean? And anything can happen. Like they're gonna be hitting each other, going down, going up. And Nate Diaz. I mean, yeah, he is old, like I said, which is the whole reason that I'm not gonna be going with him for this fight. But I mean, also giving the vibe of he doesn't understand what age is, and that he's could do something crazy with that. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mike Perry, but I'm saying wise. I agree with Mr. Curran there. And
He
yeah,
is Nate
Francis
Diaz is
Ngannou, you
definitely
can't pick against Francis. Well,
yeah.
it's not a
Nate Diaz is definitely one of those fighters though where you do not want to be having an off night when he's having an on night. Almost kind of like Bobby Green-esque, where like he's just going to get under your skin. I'm thinking of the Cowboy Cerrone fight with Nate Diaz, where Cowboy Cerrone flipped him off walking into the arena. And then by the third round, Cowboy was gassed. He's just been punched in the face about 150 times, and Nate Diaz started the round double birds.
no.
Yeah, so those are some good Nate Diaz lore for you, Ty. But yeah, any closing thoughts, or should we cut the cord?
Get ready,
Good
folks.
stuff.
The next topic we will be talking about after this, unless Kev wants to drop a random fight in our lap, is going to be when we venture to the White House and we do our first on the street interviews. Kev, speaking of which, we gotta buy microphones and crap to actually do this, or else I'm gonna look like an idiot. All right. Thanks for tuning in.